Hey friends, well, the events here are called in the most interesting way. I'm not just talking about cryptocurrencies, but about the global economic situation in general, as well as the newly inaugurated President Donald Trump. Who would have thought that we would find ourselves in such a situation? The President of the United States is signaling purchases for himself on his Twitter account. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, yesterday, when all the markets experienced a significant drop and massive tariffs were announced, which were supposed to take effect for all countries, Bitcoin was at this point in time. Then Donald Trump tweeted something along the lines of, "Now seems like a great time to buy." About an hour later, he made an announcement that all tariffs, except those on China, would be postponed for a period of 90 days. And we observed a huge spike in the value of Bitcoin. But what's even more interesting is that we saw a huge surge in another asset, which in percentage terms even outperformed Bitcoin. To give you an idea, it was a 10% move. Yesterday, the S&P 500 and NASDAQ naturally took off. None of this fits at all. Today, we'll discuss what's changed in the markets. Now let's move on to the charts. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. Do nothing under this video. Also, I highly recommend subscribing to my Telegram channel so you don't miss any updates or important information, even on days when I don't post reviews. The link to my Telegram channel is right below this video. Now let's get down to business. So, let's go over what happened in the last couple of days when I didn't post a review. We've entered into real trade wars. In a bold move, President Trump announced massive tariffs on all countries, declaring, "We will stand our ground." In response to this aggressive stance, China imposed the same tariffs on the United States. Not backing down, the U.S. then declared, "Well, we're raising them 3 times higher," which effectively means that tariffs are now over 100%. China, refusing to be outdone, responded by doing the same, escalating the trade conflict even further. Then Donald Trump made such a remarkable statement. I think it was her statement. I feel like I even posted this, yes, this wonderful video where he said that. "The governments of all countries are calling me and kissing my ass, begging to make a deal." That's roughly the rhetoric we hear from the president. It seems like they've reached agreements with all countries and will make some concessions and do something except for China. China didn't agree to any deals or concessions, so actions are directed towards China. Duties were in place, actually, and what we see now is that the trade wars are certainly not over, in my opinion. If you think that after this statement everything will settle down, I don't see a single reason why it should get carried away. The fact that we saw some green candle and will of course talk about it for an hour is nice, but it doesn't change the global situation. A simple example, literally 15 minutes ago, well, the video will come out a little later, but the CPI data came out. Yes, they are better than expected. The previous value was 2.8, the forecast was 2.5, and the actual is 2.4. For some reason, the markets are not reacting. We see no reaction. Why were we waiting for inflation to decrease? But now, against the backdrop of this widespread global chaos, everyone is increasingly afraid of an impending recession and the possibility of a hard landing, which is much more concerning and worrisome. This is now a major concern for the Fed, economists, bankers, and so on. That's exactly why we don't see any local reaction. Perhaps when the American market opens, something will change, but so far, this is not anticipated. Accordingly, several key battles are developing. I mean the trade war. I want to draw your attention to the market expectation for the key rate. The pair vanished. Please, here are the market expectations. In May, there will be a pause. In June, there will be a decrease. In July, there will be another decrease. In September, there will be yet another decrease, and then there will be a pause in percentage. Why such expectations? Why have they changed slightly? Well, because Trump is forcing the situation and putting pressure on the Fed to start lowering the rate and adding money supply to the market. FARS doesn't want to do this. There is a certain conflict of interest here. Accordingly, all of this appears to be absolute and unmanageable chaos. If everything works out as planned, then Trump might be able to reset this powder keg. But if it doesn't work out, it will lead to serious problems, including a recession and accelerating inflation, which is naturally not good for anyone. Now let's talk in more detail about Bitcoin and the simplicity of it. But before that, a small traditional reminder. If you trade in the crypto market, always trade on a quality exchange. Bybit Exchange has been a reliable partner for me for many years. Therefore, if you don't have an account yet, try registering. Use the link under this video to get the lowest commission and up to a $30 bonus on your first deposit. If you register through the app, use promo code 24676. Friends, we have started calling on the trading community for everyone who trades with us. It's a trading hour with no spam, no exclusive club, just a working atmosphere, trading setups, and analytics. This is absolutely free. Please join via the first link, which might not work, but let's move on from there. So before we move on to the local aquapark setup, I want to point out something about Bitcoin. The breakdown of this particular structure has long been an integral part of a global ascending framework. Then a bit of sideways movement here, and then around the $900, $2,000 area. We were trading for a while, and then suddenly the structure broke. Accordingly, our trend has changed from upward to something else. There was a noticeable decline in the number of words right here. Yes, accordingly, it happened right here on the chart. And the same breakdown occurred here as well. So, despite yesterday's Bitcoin pump, nothing has really changed. Note that despite the local positivity, what does our picture look like? We have a downward trend with each low lower than the previous one and each high lower than the previous one. We haven't made a new high. For us to say that the trend is broken again, we need to break through this level and make a new high here to strengthen. Then we can talk about continuing to grow, heading towards historical highs and so on. But that hasn't happened yet. We have huge resistance in this range. First of all, the 82,800 level, marked with a blue line on my chart, represents the maximum trading volume for this zone, which is a resistance zone. Furthermore, the entire area acts as a significant resistance, along with the 85,600 level, which is the last resistance marked by the 200-day moving average. In summary, this entire area is a massive ballast weighing down on Bitcoin. In my opinion, even with some positive good news and another push, it won't break through. Moreover, let's imagine that Bitcoin has traded in this zone where we are currently trading. I've formed some kind of structure and went for a breakthrough. It might happen that we come here just to grab some liquidity, then pull back and head down again, simply taking the level and dropping. This is quite possible. We can only start talking about going long in the market once Bitcoin surpasses the $86,000 mark and holds there consistently. That's when we can discuss legs, once there's a clear structure and consolidation on the daily time frame. Until this moment, the structure is downward. So we should look for long positions at lower levels. We have a few key levels to watch. The 73 to 74 range is still relevant, though it's a bit tricky since we've hit it twice already, and next time we might just clear out that liquidity and drop. Then there's zone 68,469 and zone 6364. For me, these are several key long levels. It's not guaranteed we'll reach them, but if we do, I'll be making some confident buys there. So, in what other situation would it be possible to watch? Well, and where else could there potentially be positions available if we come to the zone? We'll trade here for a bit, then head to the $6,000 zone 8 and subsequently move down. We'll see some trading activity here, and once we get to this point, we might consider long positions if the structure breaks. But it's too early to discuss that now. We need to wait for a clear structure and a specific setup. He is not here, so it's too early to discuss anything. To sum it up, trade wars are in full swing globally, and I'm sure this won't end in a day just because tariffs were delayed. That doesn't mean much. We have a huge debt problem, a massive inflation issue, and a sluggish Fed. Trump is actually right about this. They always make decisions late, whether it's about the key rate or the printing press and so on. So we just have to wait globally. I'll repeat myself, as I always say, I'm bullish on Bitcoin, but I don't rule out the possibility that we might trade here for some time, move around within this range, and only then see growth. This choppy market can be the most dangerous for all traders and investors because everyone will lose money here. Some will get stopped out and liquidated. Some will fear the strait and close their positions. After a long choppy market, when everyone is shaken out, Bitcoin will soar to a new high. I think this is possible. Agree or disagree, share your thoughts in the comments. If you found this video useful and liked it, please subscribe if you haven't already. Afterwards, do under this video and of course share your thoughts and feedback in the comments. It would be pleasant and useful for me. Wishing everyone big profits. Until next time, bye.